Hello, this is the RPG Pundit, the final boss and internet shitlord. And today I'm returning to a topic that I covered I think last time was maybe 6 months ago, which is the new starter set for D&D 2024. And as I point out in that previous video, I was one of the people that was involved in the production of the 2014 starter set. And I'll admit, I wasn't too impressed by that set. By the 2014 one, I mean, right? The one that I was contributing to. I made a lot of suggestions, a few of which were accepted, a lot of which weren't. And one of the main ones was that it just didn't have enough in it, right? It was so, it was very cheap, right? In terms of the price for someone to get it, which is good. But it had very limited range for play, and I had tried to convince that they should do something more elaborate. Well, in 2024, they did do something more elaborate with this Heroes of the Borderlands. So first of all, they were inspired by Keep on the Borderlands. And they also were kind of inspired, I think, from games like Hero Quest, which is a perfect idea. It's great, right? And that would have been fantastic, right? If you had like a Hero Quest type game, levels 1 to 5, your characters, you get a setup that helps you easily learn how to make them and all of that. And then you run through this action-adventure dungeon game, right? And that is a good introduction to D&D, without a doubt. The only problem is, it was all made by retards. By woke retards, to be precise, okay? These people are morons, and they ruined it. So it's very sad in a way, because there were actually a few things in this box set that made some sense, right? That could have been good if it wasn't that they demanded that it had to be wrecked by both the prerequisite diversity requirements and by the insistence on making heroic adventuring a secondary thing at best and evil at worst, right? Remember, Keep on the Borderlands is a game that has been, is a module for D&D that has long been attacked by elements of the woke left as an example, as proof of how D&D is colonialist and imperialist, right? Because in this vision of it, you've got, this is the Borderlands, you have this castle, and there are these caves of chaos. It's got all these tribes of monsters there. And you're going in to fight those monsters, right? And people on the left think that's a bad thing, right? They think that you should surrender to the monsters and let them come into your country and become, all kinds of high-ranking members of your government. And that if you complain when they try to, murder your family or something like that, right? Then it's you're the one to blame, right? It's your fault. It's your fault for not being tolerant. Okay, so that is a surprising thing that they actually went along with using Keep on the Borderlands as the inspiration for this box set. But I think that the point was, again, a kind of re-envisioning and recapture, right? To subvert the paradigm of it into something that would suit them, And so what you have is a totally different version of it, right? The Keep on the Borderlands is ridiculously multicultural. In fact, I have still yet to see a single piece of art from the new starter set that shows a human white male. There isn't one. I think that I don't know if there's one in the entire keep. It's absolutely crazy, right? And instead of this would have, if this had been straight up, fantasy adventure, you got the dungeon, it would have been so perfect. But instead, what they want is for you to have to go through all these other things that are meant to indoctrinate you in what they think is actually more fun, right? So yeah, you could go to the Keep on the Borderlands, or to the Caves of Chaos, rather. Or you could help a hick halfling girl or whatever find her missing goats. What isn't that better? Aren't you a more moral person if you help this halfling girl who lost her goats? You know, that's what you should be doing. You know, you can go to the Great Ball. There's some big dinner that happens there anyways. You see it in one of the art pieces, right? I'm not sure what you do in the ball, but you could do that, right? And you could also meet every diversity person in the keep. Why would you go adventuring when instead you can have crazy slice of life adventure in the Borderlands, in the keep, the keep itself, you know? It's silly to want to go out there and oppress monsters that want to kill us all. You know, we should just leave them be until they come over and kill us all. You know, that's what we should do. So it's absolutely horrific, right? The premise of the whole slice of life part of it, and the artwork. The artwork is just a crime against humanity, I think. Like, because if you remember the original art of the Caves of Chaos, right, of the Keep on the Borderlands, it was one of the things that, you know, I think a lot of people had that as their first adventure, right? Like for me, the very first adventure I had was the one in the red box, the one with, you know, Alina and all that with and Bargle. But that's a mini adventure. And then the next one that I had was Keep on the Borderlands, right? And so like that is the very first impression I ever had of D&D, you know. And so the artwork was one of the things that gave me my visual concept of what D&D looks like, you know, as, you know, in Mystara, which is, I guess, where it was, or Greyhawk. There's debate on that, you know, which came first. And now the art in the new starter set is just absolutely horrible. It's filled with nothing but opportunities to highlight massive amounts of diversity, vastly more diversity than should ever exist in a pre-industrial society, right? Like impossible levels, literally, of diversity in that type of culture. And, you know, cutesy poo images, right? It's not about showing heroism, showing action, showing adventure, showing camaraderie. No, it's about showing diversity, you know, showing fabulousness and stuff that's, oh my God, so cute, right? Like there's literally an image that is of a cute little goat, right? One of the goats that the goddamn halfling lost, right? And they occupy a space there where they could have had an image of a monster, an image of a fight, right? An image of something heroic happening, right? And they don't do that. And of course the NPCs, all of them are diversity characters of some type or another. And it goes to the point where the guild master of the Keep on the Borderlands is a wheelchair-using lesbian Asian woman. I'm presuming lesbian, but you look at her, yeah, she's definitely one, right? And I mean, I'm pretty sure all the women, I'm pretty sure there isn't a straight person in the Keep until your characters get there. It seems very likely based on what this is, the art presents. And so it's just ridiculous, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. There's literally, I don't know if it's a combat wheelchair or not, but you look at the art of it and it's just hideous, right? This woman with resting bitch face, looking annoyed at everything, in a wheelchair that should not be able to exist based on the tech level of either Greyhawk or Mystara. At least the parts where the keeps are on those respective worlds. And she's just there to look superior to you, right? You can tell she's going to nag you about something, right? That's what you get there. You know, and then there's, you know, the transgender barbarian, all this stuff that they put in there. It's just ridiculous, you know. I don't know how it's selling, but I cannot expect that it's going to be doing really well, because of course nothing in the new 2024 D&D is doing well. I've seen that they're pushing it, so it like like, you know, they just had Bob the World Builder do a video on it or something, you know, like one of those assholes that is always going to say, oh, this is the greatest thing ever, you know, Wizards has won it again, you know, whatever. And so I think it's a desperation move on their part, that they're hoping that they recruit a new generation of people who will want to not go fight orcs and instead to go rescue missing baby goats. And then go to the Great Ball with the wheelchair-bound Asian trade mistress, you know, who is more important than you, straight white male. That if they can get those people, but where are those people? Because I hate to tell you, Wizards of the Coast, right? Gen Z and Gen Alpha are voting Trump. You know, none of them want the garbage you're selling, right? Your audience were millennials, right? 2014 audience, that was the millennials. And they ate that up like candy, right? Because they were the most complacent society, the most conformist generation in our history, and they wanted to go along. And their whole deal is this kind of brutal conformity of wanting everybody to do the thing together, right? And so they were perfect for being brainwashed by this brain rot, right? Whereas on the other hand, Gen Z and Gen Alpha have spent their entire lives being oppressed by the people behind the brain rot and their millennial older brothers or possibly young parents who were pushing all this on them, you know, and now they all love Charlie Kirk. Sorry. You've lost, Wizards, right? So just change course if you want to survive, because you're not going to get through these next couple of generations with the nonsense you're pitching right now, you know. So this is my conclusion, because I've seen some people say, hey, but this looks kind of cool, right? Which is kind of what has inspired me to make this video, right? And I agree, it does look kind of cool. I mean, to me, a guy of my generation, Gen X, right? Hero Quest, it reminds me of Hero Quest, the board game, right? Not the RPG, the board game, Hero Quest. That was just, I loved that game, right? And you look at what they've done with the new box set and you think, oh, it could be that, but it's not. It's not, and don't buy it, and definitely don't give it to your kid. Not that he's going to appreciate it anyways. If he's a kid now, they're not going to go for that. They're gonna call you a cuck or something if you give them that. They probably don't use cuck anymore. I don't know. They're gonna say you're skibbity toilet. Yeah. So, in short, that they don't know who they're making this for, except for the people writing it. Like it's a product. In fact, almost every product that Wizards has done for the last 3 years or so, when you ask who's the audience is the people in the office of the Wizards headquarters in the D&D section, right? That is the only audience. They are making the stuff that they want, whatever they want. And that would not be bad necessarily if you were like on the throbbing pulse of the culture, right? If you had your finger right on it. But they're not. These people have completely lost the plot, right? And more so in the interval since the working of this new edition, this quasi edition, right? So they are even more out of it than anything, and they're not. They don't seem to care, right? They don't want to alter anything. In fact, I suspect most of them aren't going to be there for very much longer, because as I pointed out in a previous video, Wizards is going AI, and then that's going to change everything. But for the moment, if your question is, should I get Heroes of the Borderlands? Sadly, my answer is no, even though it looked like it had a couple of interesting things to it. So that's everything for today. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit like and share this video anywhere you think people will find it interesting. Check out my products. My products are not woke. They're full of really interesting stuff. They're not like right-wing either, right? Like they are most of my games, like Sword and Caravan, are historical campaign settings. 101 Sarmatians is a source book for Baptism of Fire, which is also a historical campaign setting. Sword and Caravan is set in the Third Crusade. Baptism of Fire is set in the 11th century in Poland, in the Christianization of the Baltic regions. Or you could, if you don't like history, you'd rather go full gonzo, check out World of the Last Sun. If you liked Mystara, by the way, you're probably going to have some liking of World of the Last Sun, you know. Also, check out all of my products, and just click more on the description, and the description will expand, and there'll be links to every one of my games, including Lion and Dragon and Baptism of Fire and Star Adventurer and many other products, Invisible College, Arrows of Indra. And check out my periodical as well, the RPG Pundit Files, or the Pundit Files rather. The latest issue is Races and Regions of the Galaxy for the serialized campaign material of Sons of Heaven, a setting book that will be coming out eventually for Space Opera OSR. Okay, so be sure to check that out at the Red Room Store. Almost all my other links are on drive-through, but the Red Room Store is where the Pundit Files are, and you can get an issue of the Pundit Files for just $3.50. Okay, so that's everything for today. Currently smoking, actually haven't quite lit it yet. This is a Stanwell Bent Apple, is what it's called, and it is Argento Roots.